My mother-in-law locked me in a bathroom during labor to stop me from stealing the spotlight at her daughter's wedding. I woke up in the hospital later. 2 weeks ago, my husband, Rick, 30, and I, 29, welcomed a daughter into the world. We are certainly thrilled to have our first child. Our lives have been extremely hectic as we get used to being parents. We're doing our best, but it's a difficult shift for us both. Due to the events surrounding the birth of our daughter, May, we are not really able to get much assistance. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget it because it was one of the most horrific events in my life. I can't get over the crippling fear I experienced that day, not even with the joy of May's birth. Without my husband's prompt assistance, I believe I would have passed away. Since May is the family's eldest child, I believe that we should be a little kinder to them despite the terrible incident. But I'm not sure, and all these hormones and infant responsibilities are impairing my judgment. I've gone to Reddit for assistance because of this. Please be patient with me since this narrative may be lengthy and feature many characters. Rick's sisters are Emma and Anna, at 28 and 24 respectively. They are both younger than him. I think there is no hostility between us, and I get along well with both of them. Due to our hectic work schedules and infrequent meetings, we are not particularly close. Emma doesn't even reside in the same city as us, but we still make an effort to stay in touch by calling or texting her occasionally. My mother-in-law, Rachel, 53, is another significant figure in Rick's family and in this narrative. I get along well with Anna and Emma, but Rachel is a very different matter. I don't precisely agree with Rachel. I genuinely believe that she has an issue with everyone, not just myself. She simply never stops being the biggest control freak you can think of. Rachel wants everything to happen the way she wants it to. Since she was the one who reared her children after their father abandoned them, all three of them generally respect her desires. They make an effort to simplify their own lives. She does, however, react if someone tries to desire something different from what she desires. From dissatisfaction and moping to a full-blown meltdown with tears and tantrums, the response might vary widely. I try to avoid her as much as I can since it gets hard to cope with her. Rick is aware of this. He allows me to keep my distance and handle his mother however I see fit because he knows she is problematic. I let it go because despite her domineering behavior, I can relate to how he feels about her. She doesn't interfere in my life because she doesn't like me, which is good for everyone. But a few days earlier, she was solely to blame for things being out of control. Nobody can ever forgive her, in my opinion. Anna was getting married the day May was born. Her husband, Jonah, 30, is actually Rick's friend, and the wedding was beautiful. About a year ago, he asked her to marry him. I had agreed to be a bridesmaid when Anna asked me to, but I knew I couldn't handle that. So when Rick and I learned I was expecting, I had to ask her to ask someone else. There were just 6 months left before the wedding, nearly 6 months after the proposal. I was 3 months pregnant at the time, and I knew I had to put my priorities first. I had anticipated criticism from Anna for abandoning her in the middle. Before I told her, I was twitchy and really anxious. I was relieved and surprised that our connection would not be permanently impaired as I had expected. When I informed Anna, she was ecstatic. When I told her that I wouldn't be available for tasks, she actually forgot about her wedding for a bit. Her response was to concentrate on looking after me. In order to avoid me missing the wedding, which I would have if May had been born at that time, she even thought about moving it. For a variety of circumstances, that ultimately didn't occur, and to be honest, she shouldn't have done it in the first place. Even though it ended up being a near call, she remained there for me the entire time. I didn't bother the two sisters much during my pregnancy, which was terrifying for me, because Emma was the maid of honor, and I knew they were busy getting ready for the wedding. They both came over, helped me a lot, and kept in touch as much as they could. Although Anna stood by me the entire time, I feel a little bad for not being there for her on the most significant day of her life. My mother-in-law was the only one who seemed a little angry about the whole situation. The wedding preparations were somewhat disrupted, and I believe she was irritated that I could no longer serve as the maid of honor. I could see where she was coming from, and that looked like the only sensible explanation. But even after Anna was comfortable with the pregnancy and my not being the maid of honor, the animosity, for want of a better term, persisted. Even though the bride wasn't angry at all, Rachel somehow began to irritate me after that. It was strange, but I reasoned that perhaps she was nervous due to the wedding, and I was tense due to hormones. I persuaded myself that I was merely fabricating stories in my mind. I did my best to ignore her, and everything was good. During the wedding, everything literally and figuratively went out of control. When it happened 2 weeks ago, I was insanely pregnant. My belly was enormous, my feet were bloated, and I thought I might faint. Nevertheless, Anna wanted me to be at the wedding, so I wanted to go. I wanted it to be her day, so I had asked her whether she wanted me to be there in advance. I informed her that I didn't want the attention to be diverted from her by the appearance of a hugely pregnant woman. The bride and groom should enjoy their wedding days, and I would hate to be the one to ruin that. Anna was genuinely insulted and saddened when I told her this. She stated she couldn't believe I wouldn't go to her wedding and instead fill my mind with this pointless concept. She claimed that all she wanted was for her family to be present to support her on her wedding day, and that she didn't care about fame or attention. She urged me not to worry about drama and that I had to come. She meant it, and I knew it. She doesn't hold back when speaking. She would have told me straight out if she didn't want me there. However, she did, and with great vigor. I felt that I had a responsibility to support her. Therefore, I knew I had to be there for her on her wedding day despite my physical discomfort. I'll be honest, I tried my best to ignore the many mumbling voices because I knew Anna was glad I was there. For me, that was all that mattered at the time. Rachel glared at me the entire time and didn't say much to me. However, I was too uneasy to pay attention or notice. I simply left her alone because I lacked the energy to confront her or explain her passive-aggressive actions. I wasn't going to respond to her, so she could glare all she wanted. Then came the major event that deeply stunned and damaged everyone around me, including myself. Just before the ceremony started, I started to feel apprehensive. Since I had previously met Anna, I decided to go upstairs in the hopes of feeling better and would come back afterward. I was unaware that Rachel was following me. I went to the bathroom because I felt strange and sweaty. My water suddenly broke. It was a real flood, and I began to panic because, despite my deepest love for my daughter, she had arrived at the worst possible time. I was unable to think clearly. Fortunately, my mother-in-law was in front of me. I was crouched in agony by then. We had to hurry to the hospital, so I instructed her to grab my phone and call Rick right away. As she hurried up to me, I handed her my phone. As she helped me up and forced me to sit in the restroom, she lost it at that point. Because she didn't want me to take Anna's attention away from her, she promised to make sure Rick arrived an hour after the ceremony ended. I told her that I couldn't possibly tolerate this for an hour and asked if she was crazy. I attempted to grab my phone from her, but she took it with her and locked me inside. There I was, sitting on a toilet in a restroom, practically on the verge of giving birth without a spouse or a phone. I'm not sure how I avoided having a full-blown panic attack, but I'm glad I didn't because I'm not sure what might have occurred if I had. I stood up, walked slowly over to the door, and began hammering on it. I kept screaming, but nobody could hear me because the restrooms were on the first floor and everyone was already seated for the wedding. I yelled until I could no longer be heard, but nobody arrived. I honestly thought I was going to die at that point and take my child with me. I had lost my voice, was soaked, sweating profusely, and was fatigued. I don't recall anything else after that. I'm not sure what transpired after I fainted from tiredness. I know I went to the hospital, but I can't even recall how I got there. A few hours later, I woke up in the hospital sobbing, with Rick at my side. It took me a few moments to figure out where I was and what was going on. I thought the worst when I noticed Rick crying. I assumed May didn't make it, and everything came rushing back, including Rachel shutting me in the bathroom and my tears. Rick let out a sigh of relief and began sobbing in my arms as soon as he realized I was awake. I felt sick to my stomach and was unsure of how to interpret it. Then, with a breath of relief, I saw the nurse enter carrying a baby girl. Since Rick was playing me like that, I really wanted to slap him, but he insisted he wasn't. I was unconscious when he found me in the bathroom, so he was just glad I was all right. When I held my kid for the first time, I think I will always remember that moment. There isn't a better feeling in life, in my opinion. There is nothing that can ever compare to how I felt at those times. Since I didn't have the energy to cope with it at that point, I'm glad Rick didn't give me any details. I asked him what was going on because I could hear some noise outside. Rachel wanted to come in and see her granddaughter, he added. I explained everything that had transpired to him. I explained to him what she had done and how she had needlessly put our daughter in risk. I also informed him that I would never again permit her to be close to my daughter. She was dead to me. Rick claimed to be an expert. Rachel sobbed and told him everything when he found me in that way. I informed him that I would not forgive her simply because she had a breakdown. He chuckled and declared that he would file charges for life endangerment and that his mother was dead to him from now on. He promised to take legal action to ensure she was held accountable for her actions. His words made me feel as though a burden had been removed from my shoulders. All three of them adore their mother, and I know he does, but I wasn't in the mood to forgive her after the stunt she pulled that might have killed me and my daughter. Our marriage would have ended if Rick had picked her over me after that. There would have been no turning back. I secretly hoped that he wouldn't pick his mother, who had done a great deal to raise children in spite of everything. I'm not complaining at all, even though I may not have expected him to defend me in that manner. In fact, if it's possible, it has increased my affection for him. He told me the wedding went well when I asked how it went. In order to come see us, Emma and Anna were waiting for him to call. He laughed when I inquired if Anna was upset, telling me that I didn't need to be concerned about her at all. She has been beaming with happiness and pride, saying that May's birth was the greatest gift she could have had, and that her entire family attended the wedding. When he told me that, I was crying and begged him to call them right away. Jonah, Emma, and Anna joined me at the hospital in a matter of minutes. The greatest part was that Jonah and Anna were still dressed for their wedding, and Anna declared that she couldn't resist the opportunity to snap a wedding photo with her niece. It was such a touching moment that I burst into tears. I apologized to Anna for spoiling her day after the photo. She gave me a hug and told me that I was seeing things incorrectly because I had brightened her day. The only thing I did wrong, according to Anna, was not alerting them sooner. I informed her about my mother-in-law's actions ever since we announced the pregnancy. They could have stopped her drama, she thought. When I told Anna that I didn't want to start any problems, Emma added that as long as I was safe, any mischief was okay. When I realized they loved me like family, I started crying, even as I typed this. To them, I was more than simply Rick's wife. I was family. One of the greatest women I've ever met is Anna. It's no surprise that she is where she is now, because she is so content and safe. How Rachel is so different from her kids is beyond me. They seem to have recognized that she wasn't what they wanted to be after seeing her. Anna had told Rachel on her way and that she would see to it that Rick and I filed charges, but apparently Rachel was still outside. I didn't want Rachel close to me, but she wanted to come in and meet May. We must protect ourselves from her, Anna remarked. She felt she hadn't addressed her mother's overprotective tendencies or made it apparent that she didn't mind my pregnancy, so she apologized to me. Perhaps the situation could have been prevented if she had, she claimed. I assured her that she was not at fault because she had given me a sense of security. Rick was outside conversing with his mother-in-law the entire time. 2 to 3 days after my discharge, Rick informed me what he and his mother-in-law had discussed when I returned home with May. He said that nothing would alter his decision to bring charges, which he had already told her he would do. He also informed her that she would never be permitted to be in May's life. In every way, she was not her grandma. Rick clarified that she had decided to endanger both our unborn child's and my lives over a perceived offense that didn't even bother Anna. Additionally, he informed her that the entire amount of money she had been relying on from Rick and Emma would be drastically cut. She broke down in tears and claimed she didn't deserve this, as she had dedicated her entire life to raising her children. Rick informed her that although he was grateful for everything she had done for them, it did not provide her authority over their life. He said that she was at fault and that he had been putting up with or overlooking everything she did for years, but that he was done. She had gone too far and demonstrated that she was unsafe to be around when it came to May and me. Her reasoning didn't hold water, especially since Anna and I never had an issue together. As a mother, Rachel acknowledged that Anna hadn't intended for me to take center stage. When Anna heard this, she attacked her. We are definitely moving on with the case, but Rick will take care of it because I can't handle this turmoil, and I have a newborn to look after. I'll take care of it, Rick responded. The siblings no longer want to speak with her. Rick and I clearly don't communicate with her. Emma only speaks to her when it's absolutely necessary, and Anna has shut her off completely. Rachel probably didn't expect this. Despite how twisted that seems, it's possible that she truly believed she was protecting Anna. Even though I have no intention of defending her, I still feel sorry for her because everything went so wrong. It feels wrong and bad to me now, and I'm wondering if they should speak it out with her. Maybe I'm not thinking clearly, but I'm not sure. I'm certain that Rick will lose it if I bring this up to him. He can't even look at her at the moment since he is so mad with her. This isn't what I expected, yet here we are. Update. Reconciliation is permanently out of the question. I realize I haven't posted in a while, but I've been busy taking care of myself and my child as a new mother. Fortunately, May will be 8 weeks old in a few days, and we are all quite happy about it. Jonah and Anna have been tremendously helpful to Rick and myself. Emma calls nearly every day, but she had to return to work. Everyone's eyes are actually brightened by May. They swoon over her, and her photos are all over the group chat. Rachel has not been contacted. I persuaded Rick that filing charges would be pointless because we already had too much on our plate. Since neither of us had the energy for anything else, Rick reluctantly consented last week. Rachel seemed appreciative when we told her. I used the word appeared since last week the woman, who is truly insane, revealed her actual nature to everyone. Rick and I awoke to a loud knock on the door at around 1 in the morning. Rick went to open the door, but I fled and hid with May because I assumed it was a robbery. I heard shouting, but I was afraid to venture out for fear of waking May. As it happened, it was Rachel. According to Rick, she was acting irrationally, yelling that we couldn't keep her away and that she needed to see May before she left. Rick had to threaten her with the cops. She was attempting to break in. Since everyone needed to know if something was wrong with her, we informed Anna and Emma right away. She texted us unsettlingly the following day. She began by claiming that we were punishing her because her sole transgression was becoming a mother and that we were being cruel and horrible to her by denying her access to May. Her text eventually became more disorganized, but there was still more melodramatic rubbish in it. She claimed that parenting 3 children was a burden and that she was constantly balancing the needs of one child over those of the others. She said that because she didn't want May to ruin Anna's birthday, she felt compelled to do that on May's birthday. Conveniently, she failed to remember that May was actually a fetus, and Anna had repeatedly stated that she had no problem with the pregnancy and wedding taking place simultaneously. This part made sense to me, but what she said next startled me. She acknowledged that she was concerned she wouldn't be as significant to her children now that May was in our life. She assumed Anna would be upset when I told her I was pregnant since that's how a normal woman would feel. She didn't like it, though, when she realized that we were all thrilled about the wedding and the pregnancy. In essence, she expressed her disapproval of the fact that we were all content with one another and with each other. She wanted us to be competitive and envious. She admitted that she hoped Anna would be upset with us when she realized the due date would be close to the wedding so that May wouldn't steal the show. However, that did not occur. May was the only topic of conversation. She claimed that the fact that an unborn child had replaced her as the siblings' unifying element made her feel degraded. She kept sending texts like this, and when I requested Rick to block her, she was still typing. I informed him that she was dangerous for May and us all since she was insane. Since seeing those messages, I've been suffering from a persistent headache. It's unbelievable that a woman in her 50s is competing against a 7-week-old child. It doesn't make sense to me and doesn't have to. I'm done with her. I'm done defending her actions and attempting to figure out why she did them. I don't care if she ends up in hell. Anna and Emma were also distressed when we forwarded the messages to them. They believe she may be experiencing a manic episode. Emma promised to fly down and get Rachel examined in a facility. Although I think it's an excellent idea, I will not be getting involved. I no longer want to interact with her because of her insane behavior. Second update. A restraining order has been issued against Rachel. We're exercising caution, but she hasn't tried anything else. Emma consulted with a doctor and a psychologist and had her tested. Physically, everything is good with Rachel. Her diagnosis was limited to generalized anxiety disorder. The doctors advised Emma to take her to treatment, stating that there was no underlying medical cause for her behavior. Since then, Emma has not gotten in touch. She stated that she was ready to assist if something went wrong, but she can no longer put up with Rachel's hatred. I completely understand and agree with that. If she had a mental illness, I might have sympathized with her and supported her, but now that it has been ruled out, we can be certain that this is who she is. With such, there is no reconciliation. We received the restraining order for this reason. Her safety is the top priority for Rick, May, and myself, and Rachel has shown herself to be unsafe twice. Furthermore, she harbors animosity for me in particular, so we need to be even more cautious that they avoid each other. I hope I never have anything else to say about this entire experience, and I believe this will be my final update. The family has been through a lot, and I'm simply thankful that we're all safe. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.